Warren Davidson. Congressman, thank you so much for being here this morning. The Wall Street Journal has an editorial this morning among several, and it just to go over a few things that it says. President Biden's statement on Saturday, washing his hands of Afghanistan, deserves to go down as one of the most shameful in history by a commander-in-chief at such a moment of American retreat. That he goes on in the statement, he is more critical of Donald Trump than he is of the Taliban, tries to lay blame on President Trump for this calamity, despite the fact that Biden has spent 7 months overturning one Trump policy after another. Biden was advised that he should make an effort to keep a few thousand troops and contractors there to provide stability. He ignored that. The Wall Street Journal goes on to end, the consequences of all of this will play out over many months and years. The costs will all be the more painful because of the ugliness of this surrender was so unnecessary. What say you, Congressman?
I think it's right, and it highlights what everyone knows. Joe Biden's a weak leader. He's looking to blame Donald Trump. He's been president for 7 months. Donald Trump would have never tolerated this defiance by the Taliban. They were in negotiations. The Taliban kept the peace while Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo were in negotiations with them. This failure is Joe Biden's.
What are the consequences for this administration, though? And I'll go on that there were thousands of translators and their families and other many people in the country who helped the United States. And because there was zero planning by the Biden administration, by Joe Biden himself, a push for this rapid withdrawal, that they are now left in peril. The murder quote from the Journal editorial, the murder of these innocents will compound the stain on the Biden presidency. What price does Joe Biden and company pay for these atrocities?
Well, there'll be plenty of time for a thorough after-action review, and the failures are many. This is a bad mission. It's always kind of fallacious to say that you're going to build a country while the people that are supposed to benefit from it are fleeing it. Right now, we see that we were just leasing the will of the Afghan people for billions and billions of dollars every year. The will wasn't really organic. It wasn't something that the Afghan government was ready to do. Now, certainly lots of people wanted it, but not enough strength. And so the whole approach will be reviewed over time. But right now, the pressing issue is to establish security and to clearly and convincingly to the Taliban and the rest of the world watching show that we will not tolerate any sanctuary for terror, and we will not tolerate any attack on the American people or our allies as we work through a withdrawal. It's clear we don't want to be there, but we should make it clear that if necessary, we will return with destruction.
But coming up on the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks on the United States, this is just such an injury, such a wound, such a callous act on behalf of President Biden. I'll point out, again, as the Wall Street Journal, they say it better than I can, the jihadists that the U.S. toppled 20 years ago for sheltering Osama bin Laden will now fly their flag over the U.S. Embassy building on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. What message does this disastrous pullout by Joe Biden and company send to all of the Americans who served in Afghanistan, all those who sacrificed their lives, all of the Gold Star families who are watching this in horror, of all of the people who lost their lives on 9/11? It is truly a stain. And it is truly a president spitting in the face of those who lost their lives and sacrificed their lives and the families who survive.
Look, we should always greatly appreciate those who've borne the burdens of battle. That's been a tough place to fight, and a lot of people lost their lives, came back grievously injured, some physically, some not visibly. But this failure really is broader than just Joe Biden's. I mean, people paying attention here have called for America to leave Afghanistan since at least 2004. It was clear that bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan. We ultimately found him in 2011. So even if you're generous, we could have been out of there for a decade. Donald Trump tried for 4 years to get out of there. The military-industrial complex, all the generals and the smart think tank people at Georgetown said, oh, we got to stay. They fought him tooth and nail as he tried to get people out of there at a better time of year. By the end of the year, he wanted people out by Christmas. And when they pushed back, he worked through something to get it well into the next administration, and this administration failed the handoff. So this is a long-standing failure, and we should stop listening to the neoconservatives within the Republican Party who've had an alliance with many Democrats, big government Democrats. We need more freedom and less government, and that includes imposing our will in a place that is clear the people don't have a will. This isn't an organic kind of neoliberal, oh, they just want peace and prosperity. Yes, some people do all over the world, but not in a way where they're ready to fight for it.
I want to get to this before you go. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi looking to advance the infrastructure and budget framework simultaneously. The request comes after 9 moderate Democrats said last week they will not consider voting for a budget resolution until the House approves the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Congressman, your reaction to this, because again, she was under pressure for not. This was coming from the Senate. Was a bipartisan infrastructure bill that it was a win, if you will, for the president, for Joe Biden, and she was refusing to move on it. So what do you make of it?
Well, it's always good to watch conflict between Democrats. I hope all my colleagues in the House will stay off the bill until the Democrats show they have the votes for it. I mean, frankly, it was disappointing to see 19 Republicans go for the Trojan horse that's meant to deliver the $3.5 trillion Pelosi package. And Pelosi's always been clear that she's in conflict with the administration. She wants the whole 4.7, and either of them, even the infrastructure bill, fails on math. I mean, it's only 9% of actual traditional infrastructure. It would fail a food labeling law if you wanted to call it infrastructure.
Congressman Warren Davidson, good to see you. Thank you for being here this morning.
You too. Thank you.